Hi everybody, welcome back to ERM 4354, and I'm going to be going over exercise 7. I know there's been a little bit of confusion. Let's see, can I get that out there? There we go. There's a bit of confusion on like what are we doing for this assignment, and I'm going to be here to clear it up. Basically, um, we're going to be taking a look at the three different um, kind of retention levels. We're looking at retention levels this time, not really the limit of coverage. I saw in the chat that we were asking a little bit about like what is the limit of coverage, and based off my understanding and what Dr. Miller was talking about, is we are still targeting the left tail. Um, I believe we are talking about retention levels, but we're still talking about targeting the left tail. So retention levels just means how much is us, the firm, willing to retain in terms of losses before insurance kicks in. So what does that mean for us? Let's get a little closer. And as you can see here, we're looking at this total losses hazard risk portfolio in the multi-line section. Um, Now if we go and, oh, not that, there's mean, worst case, and best case, and I've kind of done the math already, but in the um, in the assignment, we can see here that, let me kind of, yeah, there we go. In the assignment, we could see high retention, average retention, and low retention. And we're gonna have to find out, actually it says here, one standard deviation above the mean, and one standard deviation below the mean. So, to calculate that, all you want to do for, let's say this is best case, best, uh, mean, worst, right? How did I get these numbers? All I had to do was equals take the mean, because this is either, for the best case, it's one standard deviation below the mean. So the mean minus, because that's a positive number. We still need negative numbers here. And you do one below, so you should have this number. Did I make it bold for some reason? I guess I did. But basically, why is it 3.9? Because we are taking 5.8 million minus 1.8 million, and we're getting 3.9. Same thing here. We just had to do that. The mean, well, it's actually just the mean. Yeah, the mean is the mean. And the worst case is the mean plus, gotta click the mean, plus a negative standard deviation, and that's how you get those numbers. So with that being said, we now have on here, you can fill out this first line of what the retention level is. So now that we have the retention level, why don't we start with the best case scenario? So negative 3950861, and now we need to figure out the insurance limit of coverage. How do we do that? Remember, we are targeting the left tail. Starting with like exercise 3 or 4, I can't remember, but Dr. Miller told us that we were going to start only targeting the left tail. So you might be thinking, hey, we're doing the best case scenario, so why don't I just target the best case scenario losses? Because we are targeting the left tail, we need to worry about this 29 million. So what is the limit of coverage that will kind of best work with our retention level? Yeah, I guess that's the word I'm going to use. Um, to be safe, you could go 100 million, and that's not 100 million. I forgot a zero. You could go 100 million and be like, okay, that's the number. But how do we hone in to the max limit of coverage? Because we don't have a budget. In the instructions, if we go to the instructions, oops, I completely, yeah, if we go to the instructions, you can see here, there is no budget constraint for this exercise, so there's no need for goal seek. So if there's no need for goal seek, and there's no budget, there's only we need to find the adequate limit of coverage to get the highest as possible. Good for us, because in this model there's only a certain the maximum of insurance limit of coverage that you can get. So that must have been a lot of words, but basically, all you need to do is if you wanted the least or like the most minimum required limit of coverage to get the correct expected cost of risk transfer, all you need to do is take this 29 million and subtract the 3 or 4 million from it. Why don't we do that? 29 million, let's say 30 million minus 4 million, that's 26 million. Uh, I think that's enough zeros. 26 million. You could see if we go back, there's no difference in number between 100 million and 26 million. What if I did 25 million? Was there a difference in number? Yes, you could see this is 206 with 25 million, and that's 476 with that big change. Um, yeah, if we go from 26 to 25, you could see there's a change in number. So how do we know what is the correct insurance limit of coverage? To be safe for all of these, because we are targeting the left tail, that's 29, 30 million, why don't we make the limit of coverage easy for us and make it 30 million across the board? So with the best case retention, the maximum or the worst case level of insurance limit of coverage being 30 million, we can see the expected cost of insurance risk transfer as 2.55 million. And where do you type that? Well, you're going to type that in right here. Let me pull the tab up. You're going to type that because we are doing the low portion, low, the best case scenario, one standard deviation below the mean, you're going to type that right here. Right here. And then we have the limit of coverage, so you can fill out that column. Then for the best case scenario, look at this. We are looking at the impact. The impact. So if we want to find out what is the best case net of risk transfer with the cost of risk transfer, all we need to do is all you need to do is kind of equal self-reference this expected cost of risk transfer for each and every one of them and add that number. Cancel, hold on. All you have to do is cell reference and put a negative sign in front of this because it is a cost to the firm. Because it's a cost to the firm, you are adding negative 2.55 million to each of this net of risk transfer. And you can see that there's a big difference between these numbers. Because of the low retention and this high limit of coverage, we are getting some pretty good numbers, some pretty good low numbers, but it comes at a cost of $2.5 million to the firm. Does the firm have $2.5 million to spare for insurance coverage? Probably not. So it might not be reasonable to be spending $2.5 million on every year just on insurance. But basically, you're going to be doing that for all of these, and I can actually just show you that, what did I do here? You can see I'm gonna shrink this page down and kind of just show you. Here's what I did. So you can see that these numbers, and if I can just shrink this right here, you could see in the first part of the assignment, we're looking at the mean, the high retention, average retention, low retention. Just like I have here, this is the low, this is the mean, this is the high. And you can see it matches right here. I have $30 million worth of coverage across the board because we're targeting the left tail. Loading percentage is the same for all of them. And the expected cost of insurance, if you see here, this 2.55 million matches this 2.5 million. If I were to type in a different one, let's say the high retention, the 7.7, 7737043, you could see I got 259,426 and it matches that. And that's all you have to do for this assignment, this first part. You just need to have $30 million worth of coverage because you're targeting the left tail. You need to calculate the mean plus the standard deviation, or the mean minus the standard deviation, or just the mean. And then you just plug it in with the 30% loading percentage, and you get these expected cost of insurance. I'm just going to show you one of them for the middle part, impact to the business, where I'm going to show you how to complete this middle section. So we see that it's 259,000 cost of insurance, right? And we need to calculate the net of risk transfer plus the addition of cost of risk transfer to the firm. So what does that mean? It means these three numbers plus 259,000. And then you're going to take your standard deviation and your value at risk. So how did I do that? All you have to do is I put these numbers on the side. All I did was copy and paste or cell reference. And what you want to do is take cell reference a negative 259,000. Why? Because remember, this is a cost to the firm, and you want it to match this negative number. If you don't put the negative sign, it's going to be a lower number, and that's not how the math should be added up. Anyways, you're going to take 259,000 and add this number to 259,000, this number to 259,000, this number to 259. And you're going to see here that these three numbers are this plus 259,000, this plus 259, this plus 259. And then the standard deviation is just the net risk of transfer standard deviation, and the value at risk is the value at risk, net risk of hazard risk portfolio. So very standard stuff. And then how did we get the cost, the loading cost? Well, this is just like the exam. I actually messed up on this part on the exam, and all you have to do is you want to calculate the loading percentage. So do 259. If you cell reference it, it's not going to work because you're going to have to change the loading percentage. So we have 259,000 worth of expected cost of risk transfer. So if we turn the loading percentage off, we get this number. And what does this number mean? This means this is the actual cost of transferring your risk to the insurance company. But because the insurance company also needs to make money, they need to make a profit, they need to pay for their costs or make money for their overhead, cover their overhead, they need to charge 259 instead of 200. So you're going to cell reference 199, right? And to calculate the loading cost, all you have to do is take this number minus this number, and you get 60,000. Make sure to have the actual number. I'm just rounding up, but 59,000 or $60,000 worth of loading costs to the firm. And that's actually what you fill in right here. That's what you fill in right here. All right, so you got a little peek of those answers, but basically that's all you have to do. You guys let me know in the comments or in the chat if you need help doing the other side, the mean version. Remember, all you need to do is calculate what the mean, best, and worst is, plug that into retention, keep the 30 million. 30 million is the same across the board, and make sure you have a loading percentage of 30 for all of them, and you will get a expected cost of insurance risk transfer. Remember, there is no budget constraint, but there is a maximum calculated expected cost of insurance, and you should be able to get that with these numbers. No goal seek, no trickery, it's just plug and chug. And remember, you need to add to find the best case, mean, and worst case for the net of risk transfer, you need to add the expected cost of insurance to these three numbers. That's all you have to do. Let me know if you need any help, but have a great day, guys.